Hellova, she's so fine. Hellova, blows my mind. Hellova, lights my day.
What's good, guys? Today is Friday, November the 6th, 2020. And I found this article doing a little research, and I thought I would bring it to the channel to share because you never know when it might help someone. It's from the oprahmagazine.com, titled, "The Warning Signs of a Dangerous Cult Can Sneak Up on You. An Expert Explains How to Spot the Red Flags." It was wrote by Samantha Vincenti on August the 25th, 2020. I'm not going to read the article in its entirety, but it is rather interesting, and I will provide a link down below. What makes a cult a cult? And given that no one intentionally sets out to hand their freedom and finances over to a toxic sect, how do you know when you're in one? If the latter question just made you roll your eyes, safe in the knowledge that cults are merely traps for gullible and weak-minded folks, Steve Hassan would urge you to reconsider. Quote, "If you think it could never happen to you, then you're the most vulnerable," Hassan says, "because nobody's impervious," end quote. Goes on to say, first, what is a cult exactly? That depends on who you ask, though Merriam-Webster defines a cult as both the, quote, "great devotion to a person, idea, object, movement, or work," end quote, and as, quote, "a religion regarded as unorthodox or spurious," end quote. While the U.S. keeps no formal log of every alleged cult in the country, up to 10,000 cults currently exist today. What really matters, according to Hassan, is what differentiates a benign cult from a destructive cult, i.e., the one you really need to watch out for. A destructive cult is dishonest from the beginning. Destructive cults always lie to new members about their true intentions, according to Hassan, even through outright untruths or withholding and or distorting vital information so it appears more tantalizing at first. Knowing the warning signs of a cult to watch out for. Know the warning signs of a cult to watch out for. While no two cults are exactly alike, there's significant overlap in the methods they use to burrow into people's lives and become their primary influence. He divides it, the Hassan man, divides an extensive list of those common methods into 4 major categories. With mind control cults, there's that hook, Hassan says. You think you're going to improve your life or save children. Who wouldn't want to save the children? And then there's incremental disclosure about what the group is actually about. They only tell you what you think you're ready to swallow. So while you're getting indoctrinated, your critical faculties are getting worn away. Alright. Here's a small sampling of the many practices that are listed under each subcategory. Any group member who encourages or enforces these behaviors should raise major red flags. Behavior control. A group member dictates where, how, and with whom the member lives and associates with or isolates them from others. They regulate your diet through forced fasting. They manipulate a person and deprive them of sleep. They practice financial exploitation, manipulation, or dependence. They impose rigid rules and regulations. Information control. They practice deception by deliberately withholding or distorting information and or lying. They minimize or discourage access to non-cult sources of information, TV, internet, former members, and so on. They make extensive use of cult-generated information and propaganda, YouTube, newsletters, movies, and other media. Thought control. They require members to internalize the group's doctrine as truth. Black and white, good versus evil thinking. They change a person's name and identity. They use loaded language and cliches with constrict knowledge, stop critical thoughts, and reduce complexities into platitudinous buzzwords. Buzzwords. They employ hypnotic techniques to alter mental states, undermine critical thinking, and age regress the member. Emotional control. They manipulate and narrow the range of feelings. Some emotions and or needs are deemed as evil, wrong, or selfish. They teach emotion stopping techniques to block feelings of homesickness, anger, doubt. They make the person feel that problems are always their own fault, never the leader's or the group's fault. They instill fear, such as fear of the outside world, enemies, leaving or being shunned by the group. Do your research. Be wary of any group that can't give you straight answers to questions, telling you you'll learn more after giving, paying for, achieving something. Conduct your own research and train yourself on how to spot disinformation online. Hassan points out that any web-savvy organization can, quote, game, end quote, their site or their multiple sites so that they flood the top page of your Google search results. For example, and it goes on to name a cult. Remember that Wikipedia is not a reliable source because interested parties can edit an entry with false information. Ask for proof. Another common cult tactic, Hassan says, is to deflect skepticism over their beliefs by placing the burden of proof on others to disprove it. For example, an online claim that top-ranking government officials are actually lizard people might send someone who disagrees on an hours-long Googling journey, all to convince the original poster that there's no such thing as lizard people. But the believer is the one who needs to provide the proof instead of sending others into reaction mode. Quote, if something's legitimate, it'll stand up to scrutiny, Hassan says. The burden of proof is on whomever is claiming an expertise, or a new therapy, or a revelation that's going to save the planet. And I'm going to insert this, or shock the planet. End quote. Again, check the veracity of their sources. And remember that a video or photograph can be doctored. Fact check the cult leader. Not every cult has one leader at the top of the pyramid, says Hassan, but you should know the answer to some basic questions about their background. Do they go by their birth name? If not, why'd they change it? Are there any lawsuits? Do they have criminal records? Have they been involved in previous multi-level marketing schemes? Check every fact listed in their bio to see if they are who they say they are. Hassan recommends that those who suspect their loved one is under the influence of a cult leader hire a PI to uncover what internet research might miss. Be aware of your own vulnerability. Perhaps the most important part of this article. Hassan calls mind control a, quote, bi-directional process between the predator and the person targeted, end quote. What plays on one person's fears and vulnerabilities won't work on someone else with a different life experience. But Hassan insists that something will work on everyone if they're not properly educated on what to watch for. Quote, how fast does it take someone to get recruited? 10 seconds if the right variables are in place, end quote, he says. Or it can take years of erosion. Quote, say you're approached and asked if you want to take a free stress test, Hassan says. You're told you're really smart and you have so many gifts, but there's a few little areas, and if you just fix those, your life will be amazing. You might leave, but you might make the mistake of giving them your phone number or email address. They pester you for weeks, months, years. Then, maybe you break up with your boyfriend or your friend dies. 6 months later, you get the email from them again saying, I can really help you be more successful. This can finally convince someone to try it, when what they should be doing is surrounding themselves with people they trust. Goes on, but I've long been guilty of thinking I'm too smart to get sucked into a cult myself. But after almost an hour of speaking with Hassan, I realized something. If someone promised to protect my family and I from the virus, violence, and all of modern society's looming threats, and all I had to do was follow their directions, would I maybe possibly consider attending an affordable information session? I'm not sure, but I am wearing this tinfoil hat just in case. So I thought that was a pretty interesting article. Definitely worth asking yourself those questions. Or if you have a loved one that you believe may be involved in something like that, definitely worth looking into. And that's really all I have on this subject, but I wanted to bring that tonight. So you guys have a great night. Thanks for watching.